Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me today for my review of the film Dune, directed by Denis Villeneuve. I hope I said that correctly. I've heard it pronounced about 100 different ways, and starring Timothy Chalamet. Hope I also said that correctly. Dune's an interesting science fiction film. Over the next couple months leading up to the Oscars, I am going to be reviewing some Oscar nominated films. So I thought I'd start with a big one that was nominated a lot. 10 nominations, I believe, for Dune. And are they all deserving? I would say for the most part, yes. As I liked Dune quite a bit, actually. I was surprised how much I liked it. Denis Villeneuve, while a great technical film director, I haven't always been able to get into his movies. I know, I'm not the biggest fan in the world. I loved Blade Runner 2049. Some of his other films, not so much, but I really enjoyed Dune quite a bit. I think there's a few things that leave it short of being a great film, but I think it's also a film that's going to have to be reevaluated after part two comes out because I realize this is part one of two. So I would kind of describe Dune as an art house blockbuster, which is kind of weird, but it's got all the effects and technicals of a blockbuster. But this isn't really an action film. It's more of a thinking science fiction film. And I've never read the novel, so I don't know how faithful this is. But that doesn't bother me anyway. I'm not one of those people that thinks a book and a movie have to be exactly the same, as they're two very different forms of entertainment, in my opinion. But kind of like an art house blockbuster, and I do respect the vision of the director in this film. I like the fact that he resists the urge to have a big full-blown action sequence for everything. As a matter of fact, there's only a few action sequences in this movie, and they are done well, but they're very short and don't take up a ton of the running time. I'll get more into the running time later, but the film did engross me in its world, mostly through the visuals. The production design's excellent. The costume design's great. The makeup's solid. Hans Zimmer's score is great as always. And the film does have its own personality. At first I thought the film might be a little dry and needed a little bit of energy, but I kind of started to figure out partway through the film that was probably deliberate on the part of the filmmakers. And the film did eventually grow into its own kind of unique personality, which I enjoyed. By the way, I just have to mention again, the cinematography is amazing in this movie. I can't believe how far films have come in this regard. There's so many beautiful looking films now. Whatever you want to say about modern cinema, I think films look better than ever from a cinematography standpoint. The sound mix is also solid. All the technicals are great. I get all those nominations for sure. I think Dune is another movie. It has a lot of great individual scenes. There's definitely things that stand out in my mind that I think I'll remember for a long time. And there's a real sense of wonder to the whole film. So as far as world building and enveloping you in the story, I think it's great. The script is solid. I do think that screenplay nomination's a little weird. I didn't the screenplay's fine for the film, but I didn't see anything about it that was extraordinarily great or anything. And since the Academy doesn't always love sci-fi screenplays anyway, I find it a little odd it was nominated for adapted screenplay, but the nomination's okay. I'm glad they're rewarding more than just dramas in this category. And overall, the script is pretty solid. There are a few things about Dune, however, that I think hold it back from being a great film. One of them is that, like a lot of modern films, the villains are really underdeveloped. They kind of come and go and don't really add a lot. They feel more like a plot device than actual characters, which is unfortunate. It strangely doesn't kill this film. I don't know how they got away with it, but I still thought the film could have been elevated. This is the kind of film where villains, you just kind of go back to their lair every once in a while and they say a few lines and that's it. We move on to the next thing, which is kind of unfortunate. My bigger issue with this problem is an issue I have with this director, Denis Villeneuve, a lot. While I respect his vision, I respect his restraint in some ways, the film is just a little bit too long. I'm sorry, I know I say this a lot, but the pacing of this movie, especially in the first hour, is rough. There's a lot of exposition. I don't mind exposition. I get the need for it, especially with movies based on complex novels like this. But to me, there's better ways you can do it other than just introducing every character in a separate scene and having them in a room talking and explaining things. You can use flashbacks and kind of develop them throughout the movie. You can use montages, something I think we need more of in films. You can use voiceover narration to kind of explain things this is a visual medium, and I think some of these movies are getting a little bit too talky with exposition. And it's not that the exposition's bad or uninteresting, but when you have almost an hour of it, and this movie is 2 hours and 35 minutes, and I really felt like at least 20 minutes could have been trimmed from this movie and made it better. Especially if you're going to go the route of not a lot of action scenes, which, like I said, I respect. But then I think you need to compensate for that by moving things along just a little bit. I know others didn't find that issue in this film, but for me, that I just wish things would have moved a little quicker, especially since you know this is going to be 2 parts. So when you see part 1 at the beginning and you do like an hour of setup, that kind of limits what you can do for the rest of the movie. And I did think this movie, I have mixed feelings about the ending because it ends very abruptly. And I think where they ended it is great in terms of I really want to see part 2 now, because I was really, really starting to get into this movie about the last half hour or so. I thought was great. And then it just kind of ends. We're meeting new characters. We're seeing a lot of exciting things set up for the future. So it succeeds in wanting me to see the next part. But for all the build-up, just judging it on this movie, I don't think the ending totally delivers because I need a little bit more when you do an hour of setup. But overall, the ending does make me want to watch another movie in the series, so it's effective in that way. So overall, I really respect Dune, and I really like Dune. And I really like what Denis Villeneuve, he definitely has his own unique style, which I appreciate more and more these days. But again, the movie just falls short of greatness for me because it needed that one thing to kick it over the top. And for me, it just didn't do enough to quite get there. But I definitely respect the film. As far as the Oscar nominations, I have no problem with it being nominated for Best Picture. Just on a technical level, it's certainly worthy. And the script is pretty good, even though, like I said, the screenplay nomination is a little weird to me. But overall, I definitely think Dune was great. As far as whether it should win or not, I don't know because I haven't seen a lot of the other films yet. I'm way behind on 2021 and 2022 films, but hopefully I'll catch up here soon. So that's my review for Dune. Hope you enjoyed it. If you've seen this movie, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on it. And more reviews coming very soon. Thank you.